Today I'm going to show you the circular value calculator end of life and how it works. Here you see the calculator, and it's for building initiators to get grips on the value of circularity and remountability of a building. It consists of several blocks. So we have the general information block, talking about square meters, but also the planned building life and inflation characteristics. Then we have the investment to be done to make a building remountable, the value this entails, and the cost associated with it. And we're using a lot of benchmarks that were found in the CBCI project. And these make it easier to fill in the calculator, but it gives you also the freedom to fill in your own values. And then as an outcome, you're shown the end of life value and the net present value, end of life value, as well as a lot of different metrics that help you make informed decisions regarding remountability and several scenarios. These calculators have been developed together with people in the building initiators in the building sector. And we basically build it together in a way that it's adds value to this group. And we're going to now fill it in and try it with the size of a single house. So about 120 square meters. The expected lifetime of the building is 50 years. Overall, this is longer, but officially this is often taken as a metric. Then we assume 25% bio-based materials. This often came back, but you can adjust it according to your own building plans. 2.5% building material inflation. Of course, this has been higher over the last times, but this information is an average of the CBS, Dutch CBS. And then the interest rate of 1.1%. These can be adjusted accordingly, and these will be used for the net present value calculations. Then the total budget of this building, which I'll estimate on 3,000 euros per square meter, so that will be 360,000 euros. And then for the total investment in remountability, we assess it to be 10%. This is a number that often came back in the different workshops we held. In the downloadable version of this calculator, you can actually find out the link of these percentages to different building types. So for example, bricks, but also wood, but also concrete and steel. So you see the additional cost of these different building techniques. If you develop this building, this percentage will become more concrete over time, but 10% is a good estimate. So the investment for end of life and remountability will be 36,000 euros. If you also see flexible value, so that's the other calculator that we have. That means throughout the lifetime you change the building or the setup or the location, then you might want to divide this investment by 2, since it both entails end of life value, so getting it apart and getting value back for the materials, as well as flexible value. But that's up to you. Then how will we calculate this value? So if you look at the building investment, usually 40% of this investment is material costs. So the total value of the materials in this investment of 360,000 euros is 144,000. Then we assume that 75% of the building will be remountable or demountable, and that 70% of this remountability can be reused in a similar function. So 30% will become downcycled. And then we expect the sales price of these materials to be 90% of the material value of the new price. And this is a good estimate, since you also put a lot of labor in, for example, a wall that you're going to reuse. So 90% of the material value of the wall doesn't include the labor costs, and therefore it's quite a good estimate. Then a part will be demolished. So the part that's not remounted is demolished, and you have demolition costs associated with that. And in this case, it's 35 euros that we estimate. Also in the Excel version, you can find out the different categories that is here. So stripping to the wall or removing the foundation, stuff like that you can select, but that will have an impact on the cost. Then here the prevented regular demolition costs. And this one is calculated. So here we use this previous values to calculate the total demolition costs of this part of the building that's not remountable. Then composting costs. So why? Because if you demolish the building and there's part bio-based, then composting is cheaper than demolition per ton. So the percentage that you use as bio-based materials can be a bit cheaper. As of this moment, the composting is not possible of bio-based buildings because there's often a lot of materials in it that are not compostable, and like nails and screws. And this is why it's still at this stage not possible to compost it at a large scale. We expected this to be possible in the future, but if you doubt it, you can just leave it zero. It will be a relatively small amount relative to the total value. So yeah, do it with it what you want. Then we have the total composting cost reduction. So that's the combination of these bio-based materials versus the cost reduction that's realized there. So that's the value. So in this case, 72,000 euros as value of the investment that we have at the beginning of life of 36,000. And then we have costs associated with it because it has to be demounted. And demounting is often more expensive than demolition. So these are 65 euros per square meter as an estimate. And we use the 75% that's demounted times 65 euros per square meter. And then we have optionally cost for storage. So if you don't have a place at your vicinity to store the materials before it going into another building, it needs to be stored and needs extra transport. And these costs are about 17 euros per square meter. Then we have cost for demounting of the demountable part of the building and the total cost of storage. And these added together are about 8,000 euros in this case. So if we look at the final results, then the end of life value, which is the investment and the cost plus the end of life value. So that's minus the investment minus the cost plus the end of life value. You get to a value of around 30,000 euros. And that's a circular value of 239 euros per square meter. So about 20% of the material input costs are associated with the circular value. And if you calculate it to over a month by month value, so over these 50 years by month, it's about 48 euros per month, the value that it entails. And if you divide that by square meters, it's about 5 euros per square meters. Then we have the net present value side. So because the interest rate is at this stage of writing lower than the inflation rate of building materials, you basically gain value over time. And depending on the method you select here, it will be either higher or lower. But in this case, we make value over time since the materials increase more in value than the interest rate lowers it. So in this case, it's about 95,000 euros, and that ends up at 790 euros present circular value per square meter. Then we have a break-even point for remountability at 36%. So that means that if we invest 36% in remountability, we'll still break even on the value of it. We avoid replacement costs. So that's the replacement cost is the material cost over here. If they are 25,000 euros, we're still breaking even. And the maximum lifetime end of life costs is 54,000 euros. Yeah, so you can go through them if you like, but these give more detail in how to change your metrics and how to impact your project. Then we have two scenarios, optimistic and pessimistic. And in this case, we set it to 30%. And this helps you to get a benchmark of a positive and a negative scenario. So in this case, in a pessimistic scenario, the normal circular value is negative 6,000 euros. So this is the circular value calculator on the end of life topic. I hope that you enjoyed it, and yeah, see you soon.